Recording in progress.
Welcome into the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, the real_G Warner. Today we are going through the top 5 European soccer leagues. We will be going through England, Spain, Italy, Germany, and France in almost that order. And we'll be coming out with an ultimate best bet end of show. We are 46 and 19, 71% year to date. Going to try to improve on that number. What I do, if you haven't been with me all season, is I smash together my favorite pick from each of the leagues covered and then turn that to 1-minute video on Apple Podcasts. And on Spotify, you can find the full episode, Betting the Pitch, on either of those platforms, or on Instagram and on YouTube. You can go to @the_Real_G Warner, especially if you want that abbreviated ultimate best bet video. Other episodes, we did a baseball podcast last night on the pregame.com podcast network. You can find that at pregame now. But we are only talking soccer today, and we're going to start with a lot of permutations. I'm going to pull up the standings because I feel like this is a really important part of the season with very few match days left. Specifically in France, we have Liga starting all their matches on Saturday evening here in Saturday evening in France. All 3 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Central time as I record from Dallas, Texas today, trying to give no advantages as France will be wrapping up their campaign. Other leagues not so quick, but we'll start with, I'll get unfortunately, a lot of the leagues, there's not a ton on the line, but mainly it seems to me there's a lot to be talked about for relegation in some places, but really it's about the European positions, which are essential for trying to find windfalls and all the cash that comes from playing those European soccer leagues, the amount of talent you can recruit and all those other sort of things. I've already tweeted it out and retweeted on the Betting Pitch podcast account at the Pitch Betting. So hopefully everyone that's here is happy and is in. And those that come along with us, I do have comments open. Here we go. Already some comments coming in here. Thank you for Joe Dollar showing up. It seems like if I'm around, yes, this is an overs and beard shaming pod. I feel like that comment's come around from before. Can you predict which NBA team shit the bed and below a 20-point lead? Unfortunately, welcome to basketball, Joe Dollar. That is why I've watched 0 seconds of the NBA playoffs. I don't plan to watch a single second. The Stanley Cup playoffs, there's nothing more you could ask for if you're looking for competition. And usually the end of seasons in soccer, as this is a soccer podcast, those are the best, I think, for having nothing decided. Everyone usually has to go for it towards the end of the year. But one of the things I do want to identify on this podcast, especially as we have 3 matches to go in the English Premier League, is seeing who has nothing to play for, because those are the scariest teams to back at this point in the season. So we'll get to England. I'll start there, as that is where the money is, as I know one of my very frequent listeners likes to hear. So we'll start, let's see, easiest way for me to do this and get all these windows showing up in the right place, I think, is to do it here. So we'll start on Saturday morning in the United States. There's no Friday match. There was no Friday match in England. So we'll start with Fulham hosting Everton. Currently Fulham half a goal favorite with all the juice. Totals 2.25, and the juice is very heavily to over right now. I think we see Everton's defensive team. Fulham have scored a lot of goals this season, but have really kind of drifted off the pace towards the end of the year. In terms of where everyone sits in the table here, currently Fulham, they are sitting 11th on 51 points, 5 points ahead of Crystal Palace. In terms of mid-table, which is a scary spot if you're looking for anyone who cares. And Fulham have certainly not shown a huge desire towards the end of seasons last year when they've been stuck in exactly this position. Fulham currently 10 points back of Nottingham Forest in 6th. Nowhere near relegation, as everyone has been decided and has been relegated. So, not great. Not great position there. Everton, a little bit less safe. Still can't be relegated. So this is a on the beach battle, which is a big problem for trying to find teams that are going to defend a lot. I probably would have said my biggest interest, I probably should start there, is to the under, just because Everton are an under team. That's what they have been. That's who they are. And I think at this point, I'm not really sure I want much to do with that, though. Currently at the 2.25, we'll probably be climbing to 2.5. I think I like that more than I like the Everton side getting half of a goal. I just don't really trust Everton to score a lot of goals away from home. This is all about pride and who's going to really give an effort here. And certainly I could see people wanting to shy away from unders rest of the season if you haven't already this entire season, is because you need to know that teams are going to defend their hearts out, and the heart might not be willing, or the head might be willing, but the heart might not be, and that's a big deal for coming down the stretch of the season. Move next to Ipswich Town. I guess they're not officially relegated. Oh no, they are. 3 matches left to go. 15 points behind. Yes, they're done. They cannot catch West Ham. So all the newly promoted teams all have gone down. That's going to happen, I think, over and over and over again the rest of the year. Brentford, they're much higher in the table, currently in 9th position, but 9 points back with 3 matches to go. Not fully dead from catching Nottingham Forest, but have 2 teams ahead of them. Doesn't seem like there's a lot there, but Ipswich Town, goal underdog at home, likely playing for pride with a big crowd fan base behind them. Total in this one is 3, juice all the way to over, a little bit more juice on the Brentford away favorite. Problem is Ipswich has been so bad at home this whole season. Why would you trust them to do much? Winning seems difficult, but the full goal of insurance is interesting, especially for a team that might not be back in the Premier League anytime soon. Certainly the parachute payments will help as they drop to the championship next season. But geez, I don't know. Probably it's just hard for me to want to go. I mean, the total's high at 3, especially, and juice to over, likely climbing to 3.25. I just don't know that there's enough there for me to want to get involved unless it's the home underdog, which is still a tough thing to think about considering how much better Brentford are. Moving next to Southampton, 2.25 goals to Manchester City. All the juice on Southampton totals 3.5, juiced all the way to over. So currently Manchester City, they are in 3rd place, 3 points behind Arsenal. They are, they are 3 points ahead of Nottingham Forest and 4 points ahead of Aston Villa. So there's a lot on the line here. You can probably see it from the total. Southampton, the worst Premier League side I think I've seen, maybe ever. They seemingly the worst team in the Premier League every season, keep setting those records. They're a gigantic underdog. I want nothing to do with them. They've been good at home in years past, not this year. And Manchester City, they've been bad, but they certainly can really beat up on a team that's headed to the championship I think they're on their 4th manager, and just not something I want much to do with. Move next to Wolverhampton Wanderers, currently a pick'em at home to Brighton. Almost all the juice on Brighton away totals 2.75, just a little bit more, a couple cents more to under. So Brighton sitting in 10th. They are 9 points behind Nottingham Forest in that 6th position. I mean, there's probably a lot more positions that potentially could be getting in to Europe. I want to make sure of that because it seems like the Google tables will never give in to saying exactly what the odds are, or doesn't seem to ever list the correct number. But it looks like 5 Champions League spots. One, a little early for the yawns to be hitting in the real underscore G Warner, not even doing a late night, but I guess a lot of talking one by one person will do that. Yeah, I guess we don't have Conference League on this list, unfortunately. But so I'll add a few extra places. So Brighton are I mean, they're tied with Brentford, 1 point behind Bournemouth, 7 behind Aston Villa, 1 ahead of Fulham. So those are scary things, I guess, if you're looking to back the other team. So Brighton potentially do have something to play for. Wolves, following an incredible stretch, they're up to 13th position on 41 points. So they're focused on next season, could be on the beach, but I do think that there's a good chance that their home pride shows up. Wolverhampton Wanderers crowd base is one of the best out there. I think they've kept them in the division this season, though certainly the 3 newly promoteds were not the most difficult adversaries that collect enough points to stay in the league. But I think my interest here, despite Brighton have something to play for, is backing the home team. Brighton have been getting a fair amount of respect from the marketplace. I haven't really agreed with it, and I feel like it's gone fairly well betting against Brighton this season. So Wolverhampton as a pick'em, I'll put on my list. To the nightcap on Saturday, Bournemouth hosting Aston Villa. Currently Bournemouth with all the juice right now at pick'em. Total is 3, just all the way to under. Currently Aston Villa sitting 7th on 60 points, are only 4 points behind 3rd place Man City. So they certainly have a lot to play for. Different team away from home, but ultimately one that will give Bournemouth a bunch of problems. They're next behind Aston Villa sitting 8th, but they're 7 points behind. So Bournemouth is certainly looking toward Europe, but ultimately I feel like their incredible start to the season has kind of drifted off, which might give us some value for next year. But currently a pick 'em to a better team that played Champions League that's very, very deep and two Spanish managers, but I think and two Basque managers at that. I think I prefer what I see in an Aston Villa talent from a talent standpoint. Plus, if Bournemouth move to a favorite here, I think they just don't play a very favorite style of football. They are a sit deep and counterattacking team, a little bit more offensive, I think, this season because they've been a lot better. And Andoni Iraola, formerly of Rayo Vallecano, has improved. They're kind of, or as I think, instead of throttled the aggression, I think he's increased it throughout the season because they've been playing so well. But with all that said, I don't know that I want Aston Villa as a pick'em right now away from home, even getting odds. I'll be waiting for a quarter goal underdog, and I'll wait to see that until it happens. For now, I'll lean to the under 3, though, as I think we see a pretty defensive matchup, and I think I do want Aston Villa as a road team and under here. Moving to Sunday, we'll go to Newcastle hosting Chelsea. Currently, Newcastle quarter goal favorites with more juice. Total is 3, just a little bit more to over. Tied on points, both tied for fourth, both on 63. Goal differential is the same, but more goals scored, I believe, is what puts Newcastle ahead of Chelsea right now. I like Newcastle as a much better team. They didn't have midweek football. Chelsea with the second leg with Djurgården, but at home at Stamford Bridge. So certainly less travel issues there, and with a big lead heading into a second leg against the Minnow. Not the worst thing, but I do like Newcastle at home. I like that they are well and better rested. I don't really think I want much to do with fading them, and they can score a lot of goals at home. Chelsea can certainly score theirs too, so not much for me in that early one on Sunday. Moving next to Manchester United hosting West Ham United. Currently Manchester United, the Manchester version, a half a goal favorite. Juice is split both ways. Totals 2 3/4, and it's juiced all the way to under. So Manchester United in 15th position in the Premier League. Clearly are only caring about Europa League at this point. West Ham United in 17th. They are safe, but it's been a really bad year for both of these teams. I think there's some value potentially in West Ham being better rested, and Manchester United have not been playing well in this league or really in any league, but they've somehow keep progressing in Europa League. I think there's some value in the road underdog. Half of a goal is pretty small considering West Ham United sitting 17th in the table. But I think there's also some value at under 2 3/4 here. And I think there's a good chance we see a very rotated Manchester United side coming off of the second leg in Europa League, where they started their best despite being up 3-0 on aggregate heading into the second leg. So West Ham plus 1/2 and under 2 3/4 goals is definitely of interest for me. Move next to Tottenham Forest. Pushing teams together. Tottenham Hotspur, they are hosting Crystal Palace. Nottingham Forest will come in the next matchup. I guess my eyes were drifting already. Tottenham currently a pick'em at home to Crystal Palace. All the juice on Palace away. Total is 3, just all the way to over. Crystal Palace sitting in 12th on 46 points. They are stuck in mid-table. Tottenham have been going for the Europa League and had a trip to Norway in second leg for Bodø/Glimt. And they have nothing to really concern themselves about besides winning the Europa League. So Crystal Palace is a road favorite. Does look really weird considering the budget differences here, but I think it's deserved. I think the big question for me is how many goals will be scored in this matchup. I'll lean to the under 3, but it's probably not close to making my card because Crystal Palace have shown they can score. They're decent defense, but not perfect. And Tottenham's defense, when it's not using their best, Mickey Van de Ven and Christian Romero, they've shown to have real flaws. And so that's probably enough for me to skip on that one. Moving next to Nottingham Forest, as I already said, they're hosting Leicester City in a big match at the top of the table. Leicester City, meanwhile, are already relegated, sitting in 19th of 20. Nottingham Forest on 61, 2 points behind Chelsea and Newcastle, 3 behind Manchester City, and 6 behind Arsenal. Not yet dead from second place, though rather unlikely. Nottingham Forest goal and a half favorite. All the juice on Leicester away. Totals 2 3/4, juice all the way to over. Nottingham Forest are a defensive team that sit back and want you to have possession. That doesn't really work as a big favorite, not to this level. So I'll lean to Leicester City getting a goal and a half and to under 2 3/4. But I think I want to see a 3 on the total, and I don't think I'm going to get close to playing the side, though it's certainly appetizing a little bit. Last but not least, the top 2 sides in English Premier League play after Arsenal have fallen out of the Champions League. Congratulations to England with no Champions League finalists, despite spending all their money and having the biggest squad values. Nice job by you, England. They, I guess, do have a chance at the Europa League, though, so good for them. Liverpool, currently half a goal favorite right now. All the juice on Arsenal away. Totals 2 3/4, juice more to the over. It might get to 3. The big question, though, Liverpool have already won the league, is how much do they care? Do Arsenal care? Does anybody care? Does finishing second matter? I think we've seen Mikel Arteta refuse to rotate over the entire season. If there's ever a chance to do it, it's right here, Mikel. But he's probably trying to get someone injured so he can build up some excuses for next year. With all that said, I don't know that there's much I want to do here. And I think I'll probably skip that last matchup because at least until I see lineups, which is hard to say anything about a couple days ahead of time because who knows who's going to play in that match this weekend. For my best bet from England is I make one pick from each of the leagues, then move on to the rest of the leagues, smash it all together to a 1 minute ultimate best bet video on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify for the full, but on YouTube and on Instagram at @thereal_G Warner for the shortened abridged version. For my best bet, I'm going to go with Wolverhampton Wanderers, a pick 'em at home. I'm just going to believe in them not laying an egg at home, though there's very little to play for Wolverhampton. We'll move now to Spain, and I will start. We did have a Friday match with Las Palmas and Rayo Vallecano, big batch at the bottom of the table. And let's see if there's a way that I don't know how I'm going to be able to avoid that result being right in front of me because I do try to watch every match in here. So let's think of how the heck I'm going to do this. Let's see. Okay, so... I might not be able to. Dang, I should have loaded these all ahead of time. Well, regardless, there are some matches left to go. So maybe the idea that unless we're really up against it towards the end, Liga certainly needs to be done in that type of form. But we'll start on Saturday with Valencia hosting Getafe. Currently, Valencia half a goal favorites right now. All the juice on Getafe away. Total is 2, juiced all the way to under. Valencia, they are one of the biggest clubs in Spain and have been having to find a way to stay up in the Primera División in Spain. Getafe, certainly not the budget of Valencia, but you could argue Valencia's budget has completely dried over the past few seasons. But Getafe are a very defensive and aggressive physical team. It's hard for me to see Valencia being this big of a favorite. Yes, at home, they play much better at Mestalla. But Getafe, they continue to defy the odds and play very, very well from home with no goal scoring to speak of. I think biggest interest for me is a very juiced under 2, but I lean to the half of a goal that Getafe are getting here as well. To the next match on Saturday, Celta de Vigo hosting Sevilla. Currently, Celta a half a goal favorite at home with more of the juice, totals 2.5, and it's juiced very heavily to under right now. Celta de Vigo are in a European chase. They've been playing so well. Meanwhile, Sevilla sacked their manager, who they bought from Las Palmas in the last season. And that's a really tough situation to be in. I don't know that I trust Celta's offense or their young strikers, really taking Iago Aspas, their talisman captain forever position for Lopez and others. I feel like there's some beauty to Celta de Vigo. We'll see if they can if they can maintain that talent instead of seeing it play elsewhere, bigger clubs in Spain later in their careers, which might be as soon as next season. But I think from this standpoint, Sevilla, they hired an old manager as a caretaker. I don't really see a lot of goals. Sevilla have not been good at goal scoring really all season, and they've been a great under team. So I'll lean under 2.5 in that matchup. We'll move next to Mallorca. They're hosting Real Valladolid. Currently Mallorca goal and a half favorite right now. Almost all the juice on Valladolid. Totals 2.5, juice pretty heavily to over. Mallorca are much different on the island with their costumed fire breathers pre-match than they are anywhere off the island. I doubt that their costumes or the costumed wearing entertainers are really intimidating the others. But Real Valladolid are probably intimidated because they've been the worst team in the league, have been long since relegated, and they've been playing decently well, I think, since the relegation was confirmed. That seems to happen. But they've lost so much talent. They've sold so much, even mid-season when they were in desperate need of not getting rid of players. Maybe that's a financial thing. I think it's just players wanting to jump ship, and I guess they're trying to cash in of what they could. With that said, Mallorca scoring a bunch of goals, scoring 3 goals seems unlikely, even against Real Valladolid side that have been really bad this season. Still a lot of pride in those players, and ultimately players from Real Valladolid that are trying to either stay with Valladolid or find other avenues out to other teams within the Primera División in Spain. So I don't think the morale's a tough thing. I don't think the motivation is dead for Valladolid's side. And Mallorca just haven't proven they can score goals. So I'll lean to under 2.5 in this matchup. It's a scary one, but that's a really big total, honestly, for any game involving Real Club Deportivo de Mallorca. Move next to Girona hosting Villarreal. Currently, Girona quarter goal underdogs at home with all the juice on Villarreal. Total is 3, juice more to the over. Girona are in a relegation fight. It's been a really bad season for them after Champions League, finishing second, I think, or third in La Liga last season. Villarreal on the other side have been awesome, and they've been very good away from home, which is a bit of a surprise. Girona is not really someone I want to deal with because Villarreal are much better. I think the total is very large, though, and I like to push on 3, so I'll lean to the Girona under 3 goals, though they are not a defensive side, and that probably makes that under a little bit more complicated. To the nightcap on Saturday of Atletico Madrid hosting Real Sociedad. Currently, Atleti, a 3/4 goal favorite at home with more juice. Totals 2.25 juice all the way to over. Real Sociedad are talented, have had a bad year, weren't great in their European competition, and ultimately are going to try to find their way to get as high in the table to make sure they can stay in Europe. But they just seem like one of those sides, just seem very, very thin, and they don't have the problems that Athletic Club, their neighbors, have with only being able to roster Basque players. I don't know what really happened to them financially because they did win a Champions League group not too long ago. But going on the road to Atleti, who have been pretty much mailing it in for months now, it feels like, ever since they had the entire stretch of every trophy that they were fighting for, La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and Champions League, all ramp up competition and get some really tough draws. I think if the schedule is a little bit more balanced, maybe things would have gone better for them, but they've not responded to that very well. So I'll lean to Real Sociedad getting 3/4 of a goal away from home, and I'll lean to under 2.25. It looks like we might get 2.5 before kickoff, in what should be a low scoring match where Real Sociedad will try to compete by controlling the football. Moving to Sunday, we'll start with Leganés hosting Espanyol. Currently, Leganés, a 1/4 goal favorite at home. All the juice on Espanyol away. Total is 2, and it's juiced a little bit more to over. Espanyol have been, the gift that keeps on giving. They're not the same road team as they are at home, but they are great back to back away from home. Leganés are fighting relegation, have not been able to score goals for a very long time. See no real reason to back off or to see that changing. So Espanyol, a 1/4 goal underdog, and under 2 is the interest for me. Barcelona then hosts Real Madrid in El Clasico, version 4 of the season. Have all gone to Barcelona, I believe. Barca, half a goal favorite at home with more juice on Real Madrid away. Totals 3 3/4, juice all the way to under. Real Madrid, they need to win this match to win La Liga, which makes me think that they're going to potentially be a little bit more aggressive in order to go after that win. But I'm not so sure because ultimately Barcelona have been a better club, and I think Real Madrid know that they need to counterattack and sit and play defense first and then try to score another way. I think that's going to be really tough for Barcelona to lose because they're going to sit with a high line. Certainly Real Madrid could take advantage of that, but they ran offside so many times in the La Liga first matchup of the season. And I don't know necessarily that's going to change when they go away from Madrid and head to Catalonia. A lean to Real Madrid because they need a win and they're an underdog away from home, and these matches can tend to be pretty tight. Half a goal underdog away is significant. Could see a lot of goals in this one, but also I guess lean to under 3 3/4 and would love to get a push on 4 if that's available. Next, we'll go to Athletic Club Bilbao hosting Alaves, coming off their Europa League second leg with Manchester United. Currently Athletic Club, a half a goal favorite. Juice is split both ways. Total is 2, juice all the way to over. Alaves fighting relegation. Athletic Club licking their wounds. That's not a great matchup, I think, for the home favorite. So I'll lean to Alaves getting a half of a goal, but I think I like under 2 even more. Alaves certainly would take a draw against their Basque derby, if you will. Not the biggest matchup in the Basque country, but not a lot of travel. Tough to go into San Mamés, but after seeing both Williams brothers ruled out and not starting or even participating in the Europa League second leg, pretty good time to be playing Athletic Club if you are Alaves. Last but not least, on Sunday, we have Real Betis hosting Osasuna, coming off their second leg with Fiorentina in the Conference League. Currently, Real Betis 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to over. Osasuna are a different team away from home, but I think they can compete here. I'll be waiting to see them move to a full goal of insurance. Don't know that we will get there, but certainly juice is pointing that direction. Totals 2.5, juice all the way to over. I think from an Osasuna perspective, you'd expect them to play a low-scoring game, so under and underdog seem most interesting. I am a little bit wary of fading Real Betis, though I do like that they played a really tough matchup second leg midweek. For my best bet from Spain, Osasuna could be on that list. If they were +1, I think that would be a lot more interesting. I'll go Real Sociedad under 2.25 goals on the road at Atletico Madrid. I think that could be a really tough matchup for Atleti, and they've been leaking oil. That's a nice way to put it for a long time this season. Moving to Serie A in Italy, we'll start with Como hosting Cagliari on Saturday. We got Como 3/4 goal favorite, more juice on Cagliari away, totals 2.5, and the juice is split both ways. Como have been great at taking leads at home. Newly promoted side, had a lot of money invested into them. And honestly, the big names they brought in have done nothing this year, but the other names have done well. So I'm interested in that, I guess. Cagliari have been more defensive away from home. I don't know that I've made enough money on them this season. I feel like they've been disappointing to me in some way, in some fashion. But my interest really is to the road underdog, especially if we got a full goal of insurance. I don't think we're going to get there based on the juice. Certainly not indicating that right now. But we do have a while till Saturday morning here in the United States. So maybe something could change. But I think maybe more interesting to me is the under 2.5. I think that if this game is going in the way of the underdog, it certainly would be a low scoring game. If it's going for the favorite, then that's a scary thing to play under 2.5. Feels like a pretty middle of the road total, a little bit high, honestly, for a game involving Cagliari with one of the more famous firefighting relegation managers in all of Serie A. So I'll lean to road underdog and to under, but certainly would like a little bit better pricing on that one. Moving to the next matchup, we got Lazio hosting Juventus in the Roman capital, Stadio Olimpico. Currently, Lazio quarter goal favorites, all the juice on Juventus. Totals 2.25, and it's juice more to the over. Juve, seeing them just completely catapult and no one care or capitulate, no one care or really respect them in the Italian betting marketplace. It's pretty interesting. And it's rare to see them a road underdog, even at Lazio, a decent team, but certainly not in the same type of stead as Juventus, though have had performances better in Europe this year, of course. Different level, though. I'll lean to Juve getting a quarter of a goal. There's a lot that needs to get satisfied or settled with that organization, that club. Lean to under 2.25 because I think this is the game that Juventus want to play, and there's a good chance that these two teams fighting to climb the table might end up kind of nullifying each other offensively. Moving next to Empoli hosting Parma in the nightcap on Saturday. Empoli quarter goal favorites, the more juice, totals 2.5, juice all the way to under. Both of these teams fighting relegation. It doesn't look great, but should be a pretty conservative match, I suspect. Really a race for the first goal, depending on when that one goes in and who scores it. That will certainly determine a lot. I think Parma getting a quarter of a goal is of interest to me. Any underdog here, though, going on the road, playing against an Empoli side is a little bit more difficult, but I'm not sure I'm that afraid of the Empoli crowd. If it's ever going to be big, it's going to be big here. I think biggest interest for me, though, is under 2.5 in that Saturday nightcap. Moving to Sunday, Udinese hosts Monza. Currently, Udinese, 1 goal favorites, all the juice on the home team. Totals 2.5, juice pretty heavily to over. Monza, I mean, they're going to Serie B. They look to me like a side that deserves a look, not really against the spread, but just that they haven't been scoring much, and they've been doing fairly well defensively. Udinese haven't looked like the same offense for weeks. I'll lean to under 2.5 in that matchup, but certainly want to see lineups and the status of Florian Thauvin. Moving next to Verona, hosting Lecce. Currently, Verona quarter goal favorites with all the juice. Totals 2.25, juice all the way to under. Verona have been good, I think. Lecce can't score goals, so pretty good matchup for a home team that probably only needs one to win this matchup. Certainly makes a quarter goal underdog look pretty cheap on the road team that can't score goals, but I think that's also points to an under 2.25 in this matchup, which is my favorite here. So under 2.25, Verona hosting Lecce. Moving next to Torino, they're 1 goal underdog at home to Inter Milan. All the juice on Torino, and this is a great position if you're Torino to catch Inter coming off of their extra time advance against Barcelona at home in San Siro in the Champions League. Totals 2.5 in this one, juice a little bit more to under. I'm very interested in the road team +1, especially. I want to make sure I don't lose that, as I do think there's going to be some Torino money that hits up until game time. Totals 2.5, and I lean under there, as Inter haven't really been scoring besides in the Champions League, really just besides their matches against Barcelona. To the nightcap on Saturday, we have Napoli hosting Genoa. Currently, Napoli 1.5 goal favorites, more juice on Genoa away. Total is 2.5 on this one, juiced a little bit more to over. I don't see goals being scored in many Napoli matches. Genoa are a defensive side, haven't really been able to score much ever since Patrick Vieira came in, but he's been great defensively. Under 2.5, my biggest interest, Genoa visiting Napoli. Moving to Monday, a couple of matches. We'll start with Venezia hosting Fiorentina. Currently, Venezia quarter goal underdogs at home with all the juice totals 2.25, juice more to the under. And it should be because Venezia have been playing unders for months now. And Fiorentina are coming off second leg of the Conference League at home, having to avenge a 1-goal deficit to Real Betis. I like the setup, honestly, for the home underdog. I just don't trust them to score. So I think under 2.25 is more interesting than the quarter of a goal underdog. Last but not least, Atalanta hosting Roma. Currently, Atalanta half a goal favorite at home. All the juice on Roma away. Totals 2.5, juice more to the over. Could see this one falling potentially. Roma have not been good away from home this season. I don't really want to get in the way of Atalanta, who I think are really talented and have been very under the radar, a lot because of poor performances towards the second half of the season. But really when they fell out of Champions League and out of the Coppa Italia as favorites, it seems like things kind of went quiet to them, though they did get a big win at Milan a couple weeks ago. Not much for me in that one, I don't think. But for my best bet in Serie A, I really think it's the under 2.5. Torino hosting Inter Milan. That's my favorite. That is a Sunday midday matchup in Italy. Want to make sure I didn't miss any comments coming in here. I know Joe's been with us. Here we go. Okay, Joe, you've got a lot coming in, so I'll catch up now before I get to France. So Man City to nil plus 105. That makes sense. I'm hoping Man City score 1 million goals because I think I'm going to have to use my triple captain in FPL on Omar Mamouche this weekend, though I've not done a very good job of managing my various chips. I think they're all stupid, and I really hate them. Wolves, both teams to score, and over 2.5. Those seem to be correlated. I don't know if are you able to parlay those? I think Wolverhampton Wanderers, I mean, they've been great. I would be a little bit concerned that the Wolves defense is decent. Brighton's defense certainly looks like it's going to concede, especially away from home. Manchester United draw 0-0. That would be very interesting. I kind of like that idea. Low scoring matches of Manchester United, especially ones after coming off Europa League, seem very, very interesting. Let's see. Nottingham Forest under 2.5 goals. Possible. I think that would put a lot of faith in a Leicester City defense that looks really championship level, unfortunately. Barca and both teams to score. I get it. Probably see a high scoring matchup, total at nearly 4. Gigantic for two teams that haven't really looked like they wanted to play defense for a lot of the season. And Atletico Bilbao, load management kings. Yes, the welcome to the NBA, finding its way into all their sports, unfortunately. As I've already said, no interest in the NBA, but going to be a big night here in the Big D for the Dallas Stars, hopefully going up 2-0 on the Winnipeg Jets. But we'll go back to where we once were, and that is a soccer podcast. That's what we're doing today here. Joe, thanks for hanging with me for at least the Spain and England portions of the show. No Italy coming out of you. Wonder why. But we'll go now to Ligue 1 in France. And like I said, all matches kicking off on Saturday evening at the same time. Make sure you manage your bankrolls if you're planning to bet some French soccer, because there's no rest for the weary here, unfortunately. We'll start with Monaco hosting Lyon. Currently, Monaco half a goal favorites at home with all the juice. Totals 3.25, juice all the way to over. Two teams that are designed to score goals, want to score goals. So that's not great for an underplayer like myself. Certainly good for Joe Dollar, though. I'll put it that way. I think from a Monaco perspective, I think the home crowd is never great at the Stade Louis II. Supposedly it's a big venue, or there's a lot of things to do in Monaco, or they just don't have much of a fan base. Any of those things could be right. All could be right at the same time. Lyon do have a crowd. Big question, though, is are they ever happy with their team? And certainly when they went out of the Europa League, that was not a great situation. They deserved to advance, I think, against Manchester United, but did not. I think if the only thing I'm looking toward is probably the Lyon side getting a half of a goal, but it's not really that appetizing to me because I'm concerned about the Lyon defense. Certainly as it climbs to a 3/4 goal underdog, I think I am interested there, though. And I'm interested at a half of a goal, especially even money. But I think as this climbs, my interest does as well. Move next to Angers hosting Nantes. Currently, Angers quarter goal underdogs at home with all the juice. Totals 2.75, and it's used all the way to under. Since we didn't have any Liga matches, I'll bring up the table and I'll go through everything here because we might as well be as informed as possible on the French Ligue 1. So this is the first. So as I mentioned earlier, talking about England and talking about teams with nothing to play for versus teams that do have something to play for. Nantes sitting on 32 points. They are 1 point ahead of Le Havre in the relegation playoff position in French League. 5 points ahead of Saint Etienne, and Montpellier have been dead for a long time, and they're who knows what their crowd's gonna pull as the season ends. But on the Angers side, they are a home underdog because they have nothing to play for, sitting 10th on 41 points, 16 points behind Strasbourg. Lyon have a lot to play for to try to climb towards Strasbourg, 3 points behind. I might as well say that. Monaco on 58 in third place. Certainly would like an automatic Champions League position. I think they're all automatic, though, at this point, but I'm not necessarily sure. But there's probably some interest there from Monaco at home. 2 matches to go, so there's not a lot of posturing left to be done. With that all said, Angers, I mean, they could be on the beach, but at home is a home underdog to a team like Nantes, who have some goals in them, but it really struggled to score a lot of the season. It's hard for me to want to look past that. So I'm pretty interested in Angers as a home dog, though I certainly want to see what that lineup looks like. And 2.75 is a gigantic total for Nantes. Angers are certainly a team that want to score goals. It's probably not the exact situation against the Nantes side. They're going to try to be in control of this matchup. And certainly if there's a line that's tipping its cap or tipping its hand, it's certainly that Nantes are the play here. So I'm going to be very wary with this home underdog and Angers, very juiced at the moment. As it falls to pick them, I think I'll be a little bit less interested in playing the home underdog. But it's a home underdog where they can draw and you still win some of your bet. That interests me. Move next to Le Havre hosting Marseille. Currently, Le Havre 1-goal underdogs. They are in that relegation position. 4 points at Saint Etienne, so in pretty good position to stay up. 1 point. I don't think it'll do it, but that's a big, big step for them. But they're a home underdog of a full goal to Marseille, who've been great away from home a lot of the season, sitting second in the table, way behind PSG, but so would everybody. Looks like one of the best teams in the world this year, of course, going to the Champions League final. I do lean to the home underdog getting the full goal of insurance. Certainly, I worry about any +1s late in matches, especially with so much on the line that they potentially send everyone forward and lose a goal late. But those are relatively low probability events. So they can happen. They have happened to me, but probably something to look away from. I think Marseille are a really high-scoring offense, though, and that's a big question here because Le Havre are really a defensive side. So I think at this point, I'm probably most interested in the full goal underdog at home, though it certainly correlates to under 3 as well. Move next to Angers, hosting Strasbourg. Angers currently 14th, 1 point ahead of Nantes, so they still have a lot in the line. Could be caught and jumped by Le Havre and Nantes if they both win this weekend. 3/4 goal underdogs at home with all the juice. Totals 2 3/4. Juice to split both ways. No real indicator on which way the total goes. But Strasbourg, they're in 6th place. They've been great this season. Certainly a downgrade away from home because Strasbourg have a great crowd. But Angers, the side I'm interested in, 3/4 goal underdog, and lean to under 2 3/4, though that's probably less of an interest for me. Stade Brestois then hosts Lille. Currently Brest, a 3/4 goal underdog at home. Juices split both ways on this one. Totals 2 3/4, just a little bit more to under. We've got some big totals in France this weekend. Not a lot of belief in defense, apparently. Stade Brestois, they're currently sitting in 9th position on 47 points. Too far away from qualifying for Europe, most likely, unless the spots get even deeper. Looks like 6 positions right now, including a Conference League place is mentioned. And that is Strasbourg right now on 57 points. From a Lille perspective, it hasn't been a great second half of the season. They're on 57 points in some sort of qualification position. Could be caught by Lyon. So that's a concern for them, I would say. But I think at this point, I'm interested in the home underdog, Stade Brestois. I believe this is a Northwestern derby in Brittany, France. So that's certainly another reason for Stade Brestois to have some interest in trying to play spoiler. Lean to under 2 3/4 and to that 3/4 goal underdog, Stade Brestois, or just Brest. Moving next to Stade de Reims hosting Saint Etienne in a big battle at the bottom. Reims have been doing a great job of climbing out. They're currently sitting 13th on 33 points, though certainly are in that group of teams that could all get caught by Le Havre in that relegation playoff position, 16th. Saint Etienne need a win here. If they don't get one, they draw. They'll at best be able to get 3 points. in their final match day to then equalize Le Havre. So if Le Havre get a point and Saint Etienne don't win this weekend, it is over. Unfortunately for Saint Etienne, one of the biggest, most famous clubs in Ligue 1, but could be drifting back to Ligue 1 for a second relegation in 3 seasons. I'm sure that would be news to Lyon and great news accepted in that town. But also, Lyon could somehow get pushed back to Ligue 2 based on financial issues. So we'll see what happens there. Anyway, Stade de Reims, half a goal underdog at home. Certainly have a lot to play for. I lean to the road team because they're going to be giving everything they got to try to win this match. That does give me some pause at under 3, especially considering the road defense of Saint Etienne this season. I think based on need, I'm interested in Saint Etienne half a goal underdog and to under 3 because I think that's the best way that they can try to find some points. But certainly the scenarios don't really point in those directions. That might be one that I skip or just really play the road underdog. As Reims are in pretty good position if they get a point here to be 3 points ahead or at least equalize or even on points with Le Havre if they do win. We'll see what happens there. Next to what should be a very interesting matchup, though I'm not sure we're going to see PSG's best, and Montpellier's crowd is probably going to blow up the stadium, as they already did once this year against Angers, I believe. But Montpellier, 1 3/4 goal underdogs at home with more juice, totals 3 1/4. 3 3/4. Misread that. Pretty juiced heavily to under right now. No contest in terms of talent here, though Montpellier have been really good in Liga and very a thorn in the PSG side, if I remember correctly, over years and years and years. But not this version. And there's so much that could be seen with this PSG lineup that I think there's a good reason to pass on this matchup. Moving next to Toulouse, hosting Lens. Currently, Toulouse quarter goal favorite at home. Get half your bet at a half a favorite and half your bet at pick'em at the quarter. All the juice on Lens away totals 2 3/4, juice more to the under. Lens are sitting in 8th position. They are 6 points behind Lyon with only 2 matches to play. 9 points behind the European position. So that's probably not going to work out unless they get an extra spot somehow, some way. Toulouse, they are in 12th on 38 points, cannot be caught by Le Havre with only 2 matches to go. So they're in pretty good position. Though it's a really, I guess the question, Lens are higher in the table, have played better this season. Neither of these teams have anything to play for. So I lean to underdog, though road underdog makes it a little bit more complicated. Lean to under 2 3/4, but Toulouse are really more of a goal-scoring team, and I feel like, as I said earlier, you really want to be sure about interest if you're backing unders here this weekend. So probably not sure that I want much to do with the under in that matchup. So I'll just take Lens, a quarter goal underdog, as a possibility for the ultimate best bet from France. Last but not least, Stade Rennais hosting Nice. Currently, Rennes a half a goal underdog at home with all the juice. Totals 2 3/4, juice very heavily to over. So Nice currently sitting 4th position. They are 1 point behind Monaco, 2 behind Marseille, trying to find their way into Champions League, tied right now with Lille and Strasbourg. So there's a lot of jeopardy for Nice away from home. Stade de Rennes, they are in 11th on 38 points, cannot be caught. Same story as Toulouse, just 1 goal differential better than them. So not a lot to play for. Rennes have been a lot better ever since they installed their 3rd manager of the season. And I lean to them as a half of a goal underdog, as that's my style. Lean to under 2 3/4 as well, because that's the way they've been playing. The problem is here, Rennes have nothing to play for. Nice have a lot, and Nice have been scoring a ton of goals this year. So that's probably one I will not get all the way to the card, unfortunately, on Saturday when all these matches start simultaneously. For my ultimate best bet, there's a lot of choices here because there's a lot of, I want to find a team that's got a better motivation situation and will get a way to dictate how this match will go. Le Havre, unfortunately, that's a very big interest for me, especially getting a full goal of insurance at home. But they're facing Marseille with a lot to play for, sitting in 2nd position. Been great on the road this season. That's scary. Lyon are in good position as a half a goal underdog, though Monaco are certainly fighting. Lyon are 2. I think Angers have nothing to play for, and that makes me very concerned, sitting in 10th position and hosting a team that is fighting to stay out of that relegation playoff position. Angers, they are also fighting for something and a pretty big underdog at home. So that's of interest to me. Strasbourg are sitting in that one of those last European positions. So they have something to play for too. But going away from home and winning a lopsided match is a lot to ask for, I think. Stade Brestois really are just playing spoiler for a team in a European position and a derby, which does, I think, guarantee some level of effort, but not the maximum if Stade Brestois are already worried about planning their beach vacations this summer. So that is a bit of a concern. Saint Etienne is a half a goal underdog away from home. If they weren't such a bad team in 17th out of 18 with far lower budgetary situation than any other team in this league. Stade Reims have not been great, and are fighting to try to avoid the relegation playoff as well. So there's a lot of drama. Certainly, that's a match I think that if you're looking for one to watch, that's probably the one to watch in Liga this weekend, unless you want, of course, some of the champagne football at the top of the standings with teams that are trying to find their ways into Europe. But to me, the squad values or just the value of the franchise being slashed when they get relegated to Ligue 2, that's the stuff I'm certainly into. And maybe I'm a glutton for punishment. I bet underdogs. So if you've been with this podcast, you certainly know that. Man, there's so many choices here. A lot of things that I'll be probably spending a lot of tonight going over and a lot of tomorrow as well, getting prepared before lineups are released. Hopefully we'll have all my work done before that happens. But I think to me, I'm most interested in a team that I've really liked this year that have fought relegation, are at home as a big underdog. So give me Angers, 3/4 goal underdog at home to Strasbourg, who do have something to play for, which I don't love, but that's the nature of the beast. That is how this goes. And let's, I guess, figure out some way to make this all work. We'll move last but not least to German Bundesliga. Probably running super late in this episode, but that's what we're here for late in the season. Thank you for you that come in. Okay, we're back. Here we go. Joe Dollar, the Winnipeg Thrashers. Yes, the Atlanta Thrashers moved to Winnipeg, left Winnipeg. I forget where their franchise went to initially, but and of course, some people are dropping out as we get to a little bit of a hockey interlude. Please, thank you. Do not spoil the AC Milan match for me. That match does seem to matter, and I am way behind, but I'm working my way through. If you knew my setup here, it's wild. Can't stand lol, says Ronald McDonald Kits. Yes, but it is like the perfect, absolute ideal. The sang et or, as the blood and gold in French. Red and yellow kits. Literally the perfect sponsor is McDonald's, especially with McDonald's and how much they've sponsored Ligue 1, trying to keep that French league in somewhat high esteem. We'll see how that's gone this season. Okay, but last but not least, let's get into the German Bundesliga. We had a match today with, but I've already cleared that from my list of lines. So here we go. We'll start with Union Berlin hosting FC Heidenheim. Currently, Union quarter goal favorites at home with more juice. Totals 2.5, and the juice is split both ways. The Union side, they're safe, so they've got nothing to worry about, and that is a very dangerous home favorite. Yes, the crowd will be there. Crowd will be loud. It'll be doing what they do in Eisern Union territory, which I feel like I need to get there for a match. In the stadium on the Försterei, that's where I'll be there someday before they get relegated. That's actually probably the biggest concern is if they get relegated next year and I don't get there for a game. I don't really want to see a Schweizer Liga match there, but it does look like a pretty tough ticket to get. So I'll head out to Union next year, get to a match in my Rot, and then I'll turn into wear the Schwarz, and I'll go to Bergen afterwards or something like that. Anyway, lean to Heidenheim at quarter goal underdog, lean to under 2.25, under 2.5, as that's the way Union matches go. Heidenheim are fighting for their lives, and I like that, especially for a team that's safe in their home building, but still safe. Werder Bremen then hosts RB Leipzig. Both of these teams fighting for Europe. Werder Bremen quarter goal favorites. It's been money's been hitting the home team here in the north of Germany, which is a bit of a surprise considering the talent of Leipzig, but they've been bad, sacked their manager, all those sort of things. Lean to Leipzig as away underdogs, but that is a tough situation to be in. Lean to the under 3 in that matchup as well as a reference point to the Werder Bremen defense, though they certainly have problems. They're not that great. They've, I think, had a better record defensively than they potentially could have against Leipzig, because Leipzig have the talent to really stretch them and cause them some problems. But ultimately, Benjamin Šeško and Luis Openda have just not been very good. So a lean to the under, which doesn't really work with, if I'm saying a team strike partnership has not been very good scoring goals, it's probably not a good reason to play a very juiced quarter goal underdog away. So I think I'll actually look to see if Werder Bremen move back to a pick'em and look for that. Holstein Kiel then hosts Sport Club Freiburg. Currently Kiel quarter goal underdogs at home, all the juice on Freiburg away. as I wear the kit. Total is 3, just almost all the way to over. Freiburg are not a goal-scoring team. The goals they score are it usually takes them a million shots because they don't get good ones. But sometimes they do, and sometimes they go in. I'm forever going to expect them to not score many. They do seem to just struggle and get blasted by the big teams, but this is a relegation side or a promoted side that's going to get relegated. And Holstein Kiel, they're going to play hard at home for their crowd, but the talent is not there. I'll lean to the quarter goal home underdog because that's what I do, and lean to under 3, but probably under 3 is the biggest interest for me in that matchup. VfL Bochum then hosts Mainz 05. Currently, Bochum, a quarter goal underdog at home with all the juice. Total is 3, juice all the way to under. Mainz are, it'd be amazing if they got in a Champions League. Doesn't really look like they're going to get there, but VfL Bochum trying to stay in the league. Probably shouldn't have last season, but somehow survived against a team I really like in Dusseldorf from their first season in the German Bundesliga when I was watching way back when COVID occurred and all that sort of stuff started. But Bochum, they've been great at home. We're going to see a huge effort for them. I'll lean to them, especially because Mainz just have not been that impressive to me. They're a team that survived on intensity. It's hard to do that for an entire 34-week season, even though the rest of the big European soccer leagues are doing 38. But with that said, I think road favorites are a really tough position to be in, especially with whatever fight is left at the bottom of the Bundesliga. Bayern München then hosts Borussia Mönchengladbach in the Topspiel on Saturday. Bayern, a 2.5 goal favorite with all the juice on Gladbach away. Total is 4.25, juice all the way to over. A massive price, especially for Bayern, who's already clinched the Meisterschale, returning to Bavaria, to München specifically. Gladbach are certainly worse away from home. No joke. They've been horrible away from home for years, but they've improved that this year. I think they can score goals. So I'm interested more in the under 2.5 underdog of 2.5 goals rather than the under 4.25, potentially 4.5 before kickoff. Moving to Sunday, Bayer Leverkusen hosting Borussia Dortmund. Currently, Leverkusen a pick'em. All the juice on Dortmund though. Totals 3.25, juice more to the under. Leverkusen no longer anything to play for. They're in Champions League. Dortmund are fighting for European position, and that makes them a favorite away from home. With all that said, and my disdain for Xavi Alonso, what a horrible year he's had, and I can't wait till he moves to Real Madrid and we see he's exposed for not being able to handle high expectations. But until then, I would love to be against Dortmund here. The problem is I just don't know what we're going to get from Leverkusen. I'll lean to Leverkusen as a home underdog, but I'm not sure it'll make my card. Moving to Eintracht Frankfurt hosting St. Pauli. Currently, Eintracht a 1-goal favorite at home with all the juice. Totals 2.75, juice more to the over. Football Club St. Pauli, they're a defensive side that can't score goals. They're going to make it hard on Eintracht Frankfurt, though that seems to be what Eintracht are great at, is scoring and playing high-scoring matches. I'll lean to under 2.75 is my best bet here, but certainly the home team does not is not the under low scoring team. So it's going to be really all dependent on the defense of the road team. I trust it. I like the full goal of insurance though. Also, I guess I might as well put that on there, though there's certainly some questions about how much St. Pauli have to play for. Last but not least, VfS Stuttgart hosts Football Club Augsburg. Currently Stuttgart, a 1-goal favorite with more juice. Totals 3, juice all the way to over. Stuttgart have been playing really bad football for months, and they found a way into the DFB Pokal final with a pretty impressive win. They arguably got outplayed at home against Red Bull Leipzig in the semifinals. I think Augsburg, we've seen them play great defense. We've seen them steal points that they probably don't deserve, but we're at one point tied with Dortmund only a few weeks ago. It's incredible. I think speaks to the poor season that Dortmund have had as well. But ultimately, I lean to the big underdog here and to a low-scoring matchup because that's the way Augsburg force you to play. They don't want the ball. Stuttgart do. But I think there's a good chance that Stuttgart have a lot of trouble here. And they're a really big favorite here at 1 goal. And also the total at 3 is enormous for an Augsburg side to be involved with. So those are, I guess that is the German Bundesliga for you with one match day after this one. And then got to get you an ultimate best bet and then get out to do the full 1 minute episode, or I guess that could be called an episode on at the real_G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram. But for the best bet from Germany on this episode, I'm going to go with Heidenheim, a quarter goal underdog on the road at Union Berlin. I think we see at worst a draw here from a side that's very, very into this one, and we'll see how that all goes. So before I get to the ultimate best bet, I got to get my my recording device in place. Also got to make sure that it works. I think it does. Any comments I guess I should go through? Thank you, Joe Dollar, by the way, for not spoiling things. I hope that you're doing a good job with that as well. Gladbach win. Ooh, I mean, if there's ever a time for a team to sleepwalk, it's one that's been partying in a town known for its beer fest. Certainly can see that occurring. Gigantic price, though. Not sure it'll be for me. Though I do like the gigantic 2.5 underdog. So that's certainly of interest there too. If you're looking for Major League Baseball for Friday, check out patreon.com/real_G Warner for all things Friday, of course. I got a hockey play out there too. But if you're looking for podcast content on Major League Baseball schedule, go to Pregame Now on Twitter or RJ Bell's Dream Preview on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. My guy Munaf Manji and I did an episode and went through every game on the card, all headlines last night. And it's time to get into the ultimate best bet now, as I need to get my Freiburg logo in the shot, but almost ready to start. Thank you for your patience, and let's go do this right now. Hey, this is Real_G Warner on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, and on YouTube. This is the ultimate best bet from the Betting the Pitch Soccer podcast. We are 46-19, 71% with our ultimate best bet. I take my favorite pick from each of the leagues, smash them together in a 1-minute video. Here you are at the Real_G Warner on YouTube and on Instagram. But for this episode from England, like Wolverhampton Wanderers, a pick'em. La Liga in Spain, Real Sociedad under 2.25 goals. Torino and Serie A under 2.5. In Ligue 1 in France, like Angers, a 3/4 goal underdog. I'm actually not wearing their kit, but it looks like it. And last but not least, in the Bundesliga, I like Heidenheim, a 1/4 goal underdog on the road at Union Berlin. But for the ultimate best bets, 46-19, 71%. Check out all my other plays across baseball, hockey, Stanley Cup playoffs, and of course, soccer the rest of the season. Patreon.com/Real_G Warner. I will go with Torino under 2.5 goals, hosting Inter Milan, coming off that incredibly, draining. Anything you could say about it probably fits Inter Milan's advanced survival against Barcelona. Play under 2.5, Torino hosting Inter. And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you all for tuning in. I will see you. Hopefully you enjoyed getting this episode out early, and hopefully it will be in your podcast spots as soon as you can listen to it. If you leave a 5-star review, that's huge for the search rankings. I'm looking at you, Joe. Give me a 5-star because we recorded this early. I'm going to try to do that moving forward as well. And then I will, of course, love talk to you all very, very soon. As I think this will probably be the podcast for the weekend, but stay tuned on Twitter at the Real_G Warner, anywhere on social media platforms. If you want some, I found a really great social betting marketplace. If you'd like some details on that, please hit me up at the Real_G Warner across any platform, especially most active on patreon.com/Real_G Warner.
Recording stopped.